Welcome into NFT Live. That's a hot run-in right there. That's a hot roll-in. We are bringing you the NFT and Web3 news from across the industry. We do this every week, 2 times a week, Wednesdays and Fridays. I'm sitting here with my main man, Gifted. Ronin, where in the world is Ronin? He is on the way to the studio. He said that he got stuck in metaverse traffic. So there's a little bit of that going on. Nobody knew that there was traffic in the metaverse, but there is, apparently. I don't know. What's up, Gif?
I haven't seen it, if there is. I mean, I've been to some of these virtual worlds, and I ain't seen no one in there. So, you know what, Ronan? I'm going to need to see proof on that one. I'm going to need the slips, the papers, but not. I'm just excited to be here, bro. I'm just excited to be here, as always. Our vibe, our tribe.
OVOT is the word. We got a couple updates on that front that we want to get you guys. Let me know if the audio is coming through as well. So going to be a little bit slower of a start. Do not leave. If your attention span is like 15 seconds, just bear with us until we get Ronin in here as well. So we're going to have a little bit of a slower start. These are the things that we are covering today as I get myself together. We are covering Doodles. Doodles had an amazing raise. Give just told me VeeFriends did about the same. So it's raising season right now in the bear. We also have a Starbucks Polygon partnership that is going to be amazing for the space. Can't wait to talk about that as well. Like, that's super underrated. It might not make you a ton of money. Like, it's not a flip unless you're buying Polygon and Matic there.
Don't underestimate how much money you can save by getting, some loyalty rewards from Starbucks, and not paying $8 for a frappuccino, a couple times a month, getting that free coffee.
It's true. Yo, it's a bear market. I'll take $5 when I can get it.
And actually, the other part of that is just also buying and holding Poly, right? Or Matic. That's the other way that you could potentially make a lot of money. I'm pretty bullish on it. So
I'm surprised Matic didn't do the token name switch at the Ethereum merge, which is happening today. Later on, we are getting the ETH merge. ETH 2.0 has been a thing since I can remember. There we go.
Let's go, boys. Let's heckin' go, boys. Come on. This has been something we've all been talking about for decades at this point, right? At least in terms of crypto years, it's been decades that we've all been talking about this, expecting it. So the fact that the merge is upon us is really big heckin' deal. It's a big heckin' deal.
It is upon us. We do have a bunch of things going on here in chat as well as around the space. Ethereum merge being one of them. Dude, 2017, 16 is probably when I got in. And I remember 17, they were talking ETH 2.0 right around the corner. ETH 2.0 Q4 this year in 2018.
Yeah. And now we're here, right around that corner. We made it. You made it, Q. You stuck it out. So props to you, Nifty Q.
You made it too.
Any of the LADZ crew. I wasn't really into crypto in 2007. In 2017. Is that how you say that? Jesus Christ. Anyway. Side note, one of my favorite new things is on my comms playing Rocket League is to just talk in a Canadian accent and just troll people. Anyway, total tangent, but it's what it made me think of.
I almost went German there for a reason that but give me your Canadian accent, because I was about to be like, yeah. But
well, it's okay. So basically, the whole time I'm playing with people, I just leave my mic on and do commentary, and I'm just like, Christ on a Zamboni, what's going on there?
Hey, there it is.
It's like, hey, get out of town, hoser, not today, Junior. That's my whole thing now, is just talking like that to people while I play Rocket League, and get sweaty and probably lose, but. Yeah,
sweaty, as they say. We are talking like silver ranking, I'm guessing, with Gifted, or maybe a gold or a platinum ranking. I don't know.
So I'm actually working on getting to Champ 2 in doubles, and I just hit Champ 1 and Trip in threes. So yeah, no, I'm trying to get all the way up there to Supersonic Champ at some point, but we'll see.
We know you guys are here. You're here for the alpha. You're here for the Gifted Rocket League alpha.
This is the Rocket League show, right? And NFT. No, wait. What is it? Rocket League Live? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we're making a quick transition.
Yeah.
Real quick, I wanted a shout out to chat. Hash Rhymes is saying, welcome in, lads. Good to see you, Nifty Castle. Jacob Gooden is in chat. XPlow is in chat. Innocent until proven guilty is in chat. Deck. and a few others that I'm probably not getting to, but I see you. We see you. Keep it going throughout the entire episode if you can. We got a lot of things to cover. We might even hit Rate My Bags. I don't know. But before we get started here today, I do have an announcement as far as my personal self is concerned. No, it's not that I got liquidated on any of my bags. It's that I am going to Germany on Thursday. So we'll be making a quick stop. I totally planned a London trip before, rest in peace, the Queen passed away. So that should throw a wrench into our travel plans, but I will be in Europe for Oktoberfest, essentially. So I said I would. I said I would. Gift made me do it. I got half a lederhosen on here. So I don't know. You can see my calves. Yeah.
Wow.
It's an experiment that we're having. How do I look?
Wow. I mean, I've heard it. I didn't know for sure, but now I'm certain. Real men wear lederhosen. And that's just facts, bro. So props to you for having the balls or whatever you keep in those things to wear those in public, especially during the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm wearing skinny jeans. I think GIF wears skinny jeans a lot on the show and doesn't really tell us, but GIF looks like a skinny jeans guy out in Hollywood.
I love that
LA.
you think I wear. I love that you think I wear pants at all, and I'm faking all y'all out apparently, and that's great. So let's go.
All right. Well, I will be out in Oktoberfest. If you are attending Oktoberfest, let me know. Reach out in my DMs. You can, reach us here. It says Gifted right there. So don't send it to Gifted. Send it to NFTGo. But if you have something to say to Gif, his Twitter DMs, I'm assuming are open. As open as his pants. Okay, I'm not going to go there. All right. Anyways, that means I won't be on NFT.
What pants, bro? I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm fixated.
We're making people wait and work to get the alpha today. You got to hit the like button. That's actually the trick. If you want us to get into the actual show and the alpha, you got to hit that like button. That's how we're doing it.
We will see how that works. Let me know how that goes for you guys out there. So, I won't be on NFT Live on Friday. DJ Savage, I believe, will still be hosting that. We have content, obviously, that goes on throughout the week, but I will be gone for all of next week as well. Within that time, you will see probably the biggest update that this network has ever put out since its inception. I don't know how much we want to tease on here, but it has a lot to do with what my man here is creating with Web3 and that media network. It's going to be awesome. I think Andy James was on the GM Web3 show this morning. I was listening, as I do sometimes. I feel like this week I just haven't got up on stage that much, but he, I think, said it fantastically in that if people in this space that have, I guess, I wouldn't say reputation, but that have the want to make this space what we know it can become and be a big leader in that next cycle. A lot of times this is going to take a group effort, and it's not going to be us singularly doing it as we should. So you expect something big. GIF, I don't know if you have anything to say for that, but I'm super excited for what we are going to be announcing next week.
Yeah, I mean, lots to come. We don't have to spoil everything. I think I wish I was as eloquent and bright as Andy James is, because that guy was absolutely just knocking it out of the park this morning. But yeah, I just echo all of your sentiment. It's about coming together, pooling our resources, and creating a place, creating a platform for this community to continue to thrive and grow. And that's what we're doing. That's what you've been doing, NFTQ, this whole time. That's what the lads have been doing. That's what this tribe is all about. And so there's some big developments, more to come soon.
Love to hear it. Yeah, you guys be on the lookout for that on both me and GIF's Twitter profiles, as well as the media profiles that we have as well on Twitter. So other than that, man, what have you been getting into? We're still assuming that Ronin is going to be showing up here in the next 5 minutes before we get started. But how was the GM Web3 morning show? I'm seeing the likes come through, so people are saying move along, which we will. But how was the GM morning show this morning? What'd you learn?
See, I guess it's working. They want us to get into the alpha. Smart choice. Because otherwise we'll just talk shit for like the next 30 minutes. No, show's
Not
always
wrong.
great. We do it Monday through Thursday. Today was awesome. We've been obviously talking about the merge, proof of stake, doing a bunch of giveaways. Today, also talking about who's the top G in the NFT space, talking about some of the leaders, the men and women at the forefront, pioneering this whole space. So that was a great convo, and yeah, man, I'm obviously focused on that, focused on what we're building here together, and again, some of those next steps that you just teased. So I don't want to keep talking too much about that.
Okay. All right. So we are getting started here, guys. If you're watching on Twitter, thank you so much for tuning in. This is a recent development. We just started this in the last 2 weeks, so we appreciate you guys watching on Twitter as well as following along here on YouTube and participating. This is a big part of the show here today. Participate in that chat. We will throw you up on screen. Jacob Gooden saying we're looking fly, so I think we will get started here with the first piece of news. You went into the NFTGo semi-annual report on the GM Web3 show. Want to get a little bit of takes, want to go also through a couple of these different slides as we kind of like flow into the episode. Essentially, NFTGo is putting out this like market analysis where they highlight specific points that we should essentially be looking at in kind of the rear view mirror as well as how it affects us going forward. But I'll pull that up on my screen. What were your biggest takeaways from the NFTGo semi-annual report as I bring it up on the screen?
So I haven't gone through the whole thing yet. We just are in the matrix now. We are inception. No, so I haven't gone through the whole thing yet, and so I think I'll have a better sort of like full analysis take on it next time that we do the show. We kind of ran through half of it on this morning's GM Web3, and then tomorrow morning I plan on kind of continuing to dig into this more. A couple initial things that I have found. It's very surface level and frustratingly focused on volume, which so much of the space is. So like I get why that is. It's unfortunate. And like an example of that is that Azuki is like, featured and promoted basically throughout the whole report, just because, it has massive volume and, made a bunch of sales. And, we all know that there's a lot of issues with the team behind Azuki and with that project. And yet it is just highlighted and featured as one of the top projects throughout this whole report based on its economics or what it made previously when it first launched. So that to me is very frustrating that so much of this report is purely focused on numbers, on volume, on sales. There's other things that I definitely consider, like art, things like that, when looking at projects and what's valuable, what matters, what the community is actually like, all these types of things. So that's one of the immediate takeaways is that it's very, very frustratingly surface level and focused on vanity metrics and the volume and the money aspect. Again, kind of to be expected. That's what NFTGo and a lot of these platforms and so much of the industry runs on, but have to call that out. That page you have right there, I think was an interesting thing that we talked about briefly, which is that the NFT market, we all know it's early. We all know we're in kind of a small bubble, but that contextualizes a little bit more that the total NFT market is still only about 14% of just the Ethereum market cap. So not even talking about crypto or any of the other chains or anything, just if you look at how big is Ethereum, NFTs are just 14% of that scale, of that size. So it's still a very, very small market that we're in. So we all know we're early, but it's an interesting new visualization and metric and way to measure how small the market is.
Yeah. Also, I mean, obviously ETH is going to be like super outsized in this report as well. I'm not even sure like how much analysis they did on the other chains, but I think we touched on this last week on NFT Live and a couple more of the morning alpha shows. How much the data is kind of fragmented right now, right? Like Wax and Solana and Polygon, like all of this volume is potentially not tracked on a lot of these platforms. I mean, if you go back into the report and we go up here, I understand that these are the biggest projects, but again, all you see is essentially they're priced in ETH, they're ETH projects. There's a lot of going on in the space right now that is not ETH, and that's not what we saw a year ago. So I will say, like, when we look at these metrics, it is important to realize they're probably not taking into account Wax. Like, that is one chain that Fun Uncle brings up a lot that is just kind of I wouldn't call them an outcast. They're just kind of an afterthought when it comes to the larger ETH community, man. Do you have any thoughts there?
I mean, they're probably not even factoring in Dogecoin NFTs. Like, what the heck?
Big. What are you guys doing? Dogecoin NFTs in the last 6 days are probably that this is the market right here. NFTs and then Dogecoin NFTs would be 85.7%, and we know that to be truth.
Yeah. I think there was one other point that I know. Oh, there was like an interesting bullish indicator to me was that in 2022,
What?
See, this is what I'm saying. This shit actually really pisses me off. I don't want to go further into this, but
hell no.
Ranking Azuki is the #1 best new NFT in this fucking report.
What? Okay, chat, please let me know here too, because what we're seeing up on the screen is the nominated projects were Azuki's, Moonbirds, and Goblin Town. These are the 3 that were nominated for the best NFT. Who? Okay.
Yeah.
Before we hit and move on as well, I also want to say NFTs are less correlated with the ETH market, and they reference that NFTs didn't get hit as hard as everything else. I don't know. I think they're talking about value here. My Bored Ape went down a lot based on the downtrend in ETH. So I don't know if what they're looking at as far as the assets are concerned. Maybe there's some interesting dynamic between like the full market cap of NFTs has probably grown, honestly, since like we're getting more projects and things like this. But
well, one of the themes that I did see already showing in the first part that I was looking at in this report is that they're trying to show that they primarily focus on blue chips. And what they're trying to say from a narrative perspective is that blue chips are actually holding their value pretty well. That seems to be one of the things that they're trying to tell with this data that I saw in there. And so if it's heavily weighted towards blue chips, and what they've found is that, you know, a lot of the blue chips, generally speaking, are holding value better than, you know, a lot of the crypto, a lot of the ERC20s that have lost 70 to 80 to 90% of their value, then, you know, I guess I see that. But to your point, NFTGo, I feel like you, which is that, you know, my bags have dropped close to that amount anyway, you know. So it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel that good, regardless of what they say.
I stepped in front of you a little bit on this Best NFT award. We also do have a question in the chat. Here's from XPlow. Must have been the same writer that created NFTs Are Dead. This is actually from a reputable source here, NFTGo. We'll drop this link in the description for you guys. This isn't like, I think, some random report. Although, like,
I don't know how reputable they are. They have a working platform that does good, you know, like alerts and analytics, but that doesn't mean that the team is reputable. I have no idea who's behind NFTGo.
That's fair. No, you're completely right. We're looking at here in a bear market, like getting any report of this magnitude could feel, you know, pretty well, but at the same time, it could just be some 3 random dudes sitting in an office, probably more than likely. But
I think it's most likely that they are just purely focused on the numbers on their platform and probably aren't putting a lot of additional analysis into any of this shit. And that's how you get, you know, Azuki as your #1 best new NFT. That's fucking garbage, but whatever.
Okay. Goblin Town volume exceeded 20 mil within 7 days of launch, bucking the bear market. Was this launched? I don't remember Goblin Town being launched in a bear market.
They were kind of at the forefront of it. I think the bear market had stopped, and that's part of why Goblin Town got so much hype, is that there wasn't anything else going on at the time. They created they created the new meta, the free meta, when the market was already crashed and doing poorly, which is part of why it took off the way that it did. Because if you remember at that point, everybody was literally acting like goblins, like just degenning hard into shit as the market was just fucking tanking. Like shit just kept going in, and people just kept like trying to ape into like anything. And then, you know, when Goblin Town hit, that's part of why it spiked and got, you know, such a moment, so much attention, is because everything else was crashing and people were like, holy fuck, we found a grail.
May 22nd, 2022, it looks like, or May 20th, 2022. So around that time frame. So yeah, right. That was around the Other Deeds launch as well, if I can remember correctly. It was like in that time frame. So yeah, that was like the death knell essentially of like, here's the kind of last thing that we're squeezing out of this market. But I do want to go back to the report again from these three guys sitting in a room. No, I'm just kidding. NFTGo could I don't we're always going toward the I do this myself. I'm very skeptical of things that come out in the Web3 space, but like couldn't these people be super reputable? Like even though we know nothing about them?
They could. I just don't know that to be a fact. Yeah. I'm not saying they are either way, but I'm saying promoting Azuki all through your public business, public facing materials like this, knowing full well that the team has been rugging other projects and is not reputable, like that to me is not a reputable move. Or at least acknowledge or put an asterisk or something. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know if the team behind NFTGo, I don't know who they are. They could be great people, but by doing that, you're showing me a lack of reputable behavior. So
this isn't going to get any better with, and we skipped the piece that I want to go back to, but they're featuring Zagabond as the most powerful tweet. So we're going into territory here that seems to be casting doubt into whether this report is like, I mean, you can't go wrong with the metrics, but
no, exactly. They are focused purely on the metrics. See, here's a fun fact. Lies and mistruths, they travel like 70 to 80% faster than the truth. Okay. So with that being said, the fact that you are highlighting as like the most influential tweet something that is basically about a team getting found out for being rugged, that is basically like negative, highly inflammatory information. Of course, it's going to travel all over social media, but like there's no further analysis like that basically says, hey, this person and what they were writing about, what this tweet is about, is actually a really controversial issue in the space because it's basically acknowledging, hey, we rugged millions and millions of dollars from the community. That's not in there.
Yeah, because basically what they're saying is most powerful which tweet affected the market the most is kind of what they're looking at. But that's like, in a way, that's kind of subjective. Like you could say like Bored Ape tweeting "fuck it" when they did the mutants, like "fuck it, Mutants Sunday" or Saturday was the tweet that probably sent Bored Ape to way higher levels than whatever Azuki did with Zagabond.
It feels to me like, again, whoever these reputable or reputable people are behind NFTGo are, we don't know who they are. Again, they could be great, but it feels to me reading this that they have a bunch of Azuki. They have bags of Azukis. That's what it feels like to me.
NFTGo, come on the channel, explain yourself, defend yourself from the skeptics here. But you're right. Like this is getting into the territory. Azuki, and it being featured as much as it is definitely not a good look. But we will go through a quick, different little bit of highlights here before we move on to Doodles and Starbucks as well. Most expensive avatar, this being the CryptoPunks. Best NFT marketplace, OpenSea. You can't really argue with OpenSea being the best NFT marketplace over the course of the last year. Whether it's going to be, and I think this was brought up on the Alpha show as well, whether it's going to be the number one marketplace here and over the course of the next year, when this report comes around again in 23, is probably more up for debate when you see like the gains that the other markets are having around OpenSea.
So quick point of clarity, this report is actually a semi-annual report. So they do this every 3 months, I believe.
Okay.
Or every 6 months. But it's semi-annual.
6, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's either 3 or 6 months.
Got it.
I know.
Okay,
actually, I think it's every 6 because I believe what this whole report is focused on is Q1 and Q2 first half, or H1. I guess that's the term. H1 of 2022 is what I believe this is focused on.
Gotcha. That's tough to do. I understand like you have to like gather all the information. You probably have to like do a little bit obviously of analysis beyond just putting out the numbers. But the space moves so fast that the first half of 2022. 3 months ago, and then even all the way back to 8-9 months ago, it's like, wow, the space has changed in that time. Like you could argue we were still in the bull market until January.
Yeah. I just don't like that in any of that, basically what's amounts to promotional analysis of Azuki, that there's nothing mentioned about the controversy and why did that tweet that was so powerful, drive the market down by, like 50% or whatever it did? Like, why is that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just frustrating because they obviously put a lot of time and effort into doing some analysis. It doesn't feel very unbiased or honest.
Yeah,
That's just totally left out.
Zach Finder's in the chat saying, pumping bags, what a joke. How can you recognize a team who rugs? And I think most of us here in chat and on Twitter would agree that Azuki is like, for whatever reason, like it should not be highlighted in the way that they're highlighted early in the episode. That being said, we do have another category, most widely applicable NFT, which I think is rightfully so in that category. You have ENS with a current total of 1.5 million NFTs, 440,000 owners of those NFTs, which is a really, really good percentage of ownership to total supply. And they're highlighted correctly here. Any thoughts?
I think it's amazing. This was definitely a standout point, something that's very exciting to see, almost 500,000 ENS collectors, 1.5 million total registrations already. Like, that's dope.
All right. We had short half-life of hype cycles. We had a couple blue chip mentions there. Yeah, definitely highlighting Azuki there as well.
So I think the point of this hype cycle slide, I believe, is basically what they've shown is that most of the projects in 2022 have had just as many bad days as they have good days. So hype cycles don't last, and almost all the projects, even if they pump, have just as much downside right now. And I think, again, that's probably largely due to the state of the market. I think when you're in a bear market, you'd probably be seeing more up days than down days. But yeah.
So on this category here, and I want to open this up to the chat a little bit, as well as get your thoughts here, Giff. But blue chips are standing strong, and what we have here, which I don't know if we're going to get to today. If you're not familiar with the Rate My Bag segment, this is rife with controversy. This segment here, this page has caused a lot of drama. But then we have, again, going back to the report, a mention of blue chips being here. And again, I think we can write off Azuki. But do you see these others? And what they have on here is Artifact, Clone. Oh, I'm sorry. Artifact, World of Women, Doodles, CryptoPunks, Cool Cats, Bored Ape Yacht Club, and Moonbirds being blue chips in the space. Do you think out of those categories of PFP projects, have they hit all of them? Are there ones that are missing when it comes to blue chip projects? What are your thoughts here?
Oh, I say we just let the comments chime in on that one. Yeah, we'll see what they say.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested to see. So, okay, obviously, like on our bags here, we again have Doodles up there. V-Ferns might be one that is probably seen in the space and could be potentially in a blue chip category.
Well, they just raised 50 mil, so yeah.
Is Doodles? Does that immediately make you a blue chip? Is this the category we're going to?
Yeah, I mean, they've thrown like one of the biggest and most professional NFT conferences ever of all time. They have one of the biggest, most successful projects. They've got one of the top G's in all of the NFT space at the forefront of it. They just raised 50 mil on top of whatever war chest they've already got. Like, come on. I mean, as far as like what I'd call a blue chip, if you're betting against Gary Vee at this point, like I don't know what to tell you. Good luck.
All right, so we are going to go through the remainder of this NFTGo piece for the next probably 2 or 3 minutes. More players, more competitions. So basically, like the amount of NFTs launched, that's tough for me. Obviously, the space is growing. Like, let's just stay with that. Less collections are going to 0. That's good to see.
This is what I was going to mention earlier, right? Yeah, this is kind of a bullish thing, which is that in 2022, the number of new collections that are experiencing 0 trading volume on a 30-day basis is gone down quite a bit. So what that says, like, is that whether it's quality or the marketing or the attention, whatever confluence of different factors are going into this, the point is that the trend of new projects not going to 0 and just dying is actually good. There's more projects that are continuing to go, even if it's, at small volumes, they're seeing volume on a consistent monthly basis. And that's, I think, actually a pretty good sign.
Less collections going to zero. This has always been an interesting conversation of like using real world collections and collectibles and whether those go to zero. I think someone was saying like there's a market for like AOL CD-ROMs, essentially. Like there's always going to be a market for anything at a certain price, essentially. So, but it will be interesting to see like what projects go to physically like zero volume. What would need to happen? Okay, here let me frame another question.
Well,
oftentimes
they're doing this on a monthly. They're doing this on a monthly basis. That's what it's based off of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask the chat again. We want to get you guys involved as well in this conversation. It's like, how long would a project need to be at zero volume for you to call it dead, for you to say it's actually at zero? I get that they're using certain metrics when it comes to those monthly, but I'm kind of opening that discussion up and saying, okay, if you have zero volume for 6 months, you're dead. Like what amount of projects in the NFT space have that going for them?
I think it's a really interesting question, and I'm excited to see what other people think. But I also, part of why I think it's an interesting question is because in the NFT space, things can be determined to be dead and then be resurrected and brought back to life, right? That's what's really interesting, is that I can see, certain projects going dark, having zero volume for 6+ months or a year or two, and then there being some kind of unique catalyst or somebody discovering something unique about them, and then them pumping, a year later. So I think that's an interesting dynamic to factor into this conversation about like how you define a dead project. Is anything truly ever dead? Is it just temporarily dead? Is it just currently dead if it's not seeing any volume? Because I think NFTs have an interesting ability to come back from the dead.
Interesting. Ronin actually has an awesome point on this when we do get him into the NFT Live studio here, because he was essentially part of one of these days. He was essentially part of a group that I wouldn't say they bought out the original creator for an NFT project, and then kind of like was responsible for bringing the continuation of the project kind of like bigger into the NFT space and more consistency with posting on marketing and communication with the community, all these things. But moving on, and this will probably be the last point unless you had another slide that you want to hit. We can potentially bring this back on Friday as well, but most NFTs were bought higher than their current floor price. So this is not good, right? Like you're buying.
What do you mean? This is really good. Why is this not good? Explain
you want the floor price to be higher than when you bought it. This is saying that the floor price is now lower than when you bought it.
Sorry. You're right. I was reading it wrong. My bad. I was imagining that this was saying that like the majority of people were not, buying through WETH offers below floor. But I think you're right that the floor price is. I think what it's saying is actually what you're saying.
Most are not
the floor. Exactly. The majority of projects are not in the green or whatever.
Yeah, shocker that the majority of the NFT space in what basically became the start of the bear market are not in profit. So really, really hard hitting stuff here from the NFTGo space. But okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen really quick. We're going to come back to us here beautifully on the screen. Thank you guys for participating in NFT Live. Those of you who are watching on Twitter, we appreciate you guys. If you could like, retweet, do what you got to do on the Twitter app, that would be amazing. We are still waiting for Ronin. Massive metaverse traffic, but we will
crazy out there.
It is.
Did he say which metaverse?
Oh, listen, I didn't get to the question of what is a metaverse. Like that could be half the conversation that we could, spend there.
Yeah, apparently rush hour is 1 p.m. on Pacific Standard Time in whatever metaverse he's in. So
the metaverse runs on Pacific Standard Time. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm just saying, where I'm at, it's 1 p.m. So we could also say 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. First big story here I want to hop into, because we do have to, we're 35 minutes in and we're getting to our basically first topic of the discussion here. Standard NFT live procedure.
Strong start.
Reddit's Ohanian, so Alexis Ohanian is leading a 54 and has led a $54 million raise for Doodles PFP project. Doodles is listed in that blue chip category, in my opinion. This just kind of further cements both their runway and the ability to scale up with whatever they're trying to do. We know that they're working with Pharrell. We know that they've done a lot of partnerships. We know that they create a good amount of community engagement and activation. So this is more of, good news, but more of the same from Doodles, in my opinion. Like, they're honestly right below Yuga Labs and Bored Ape, in my opinion, like as being the runner-up in the NFT space, and gonna be big as we get to that next cycle. What are your thoughts on this raise?
I agree with everything you just said. As somebody who does not currently have a Doodle, that's been watching the floor trying to get into it, I'm actually very upset that they didn't wait until after the merge to announce this news, because the floor has been pumping a little bit and it's making it harder for me to get in. And yeah, I'm very bullish on Doodles, and I agree. I think that they are essentially a blue chip at this point.
Yeah, so duplicators, I'm going to pull up the screen really quick. Duplicators are up big. They're up like 50%, 73% in the last 7 days here from NFT price floor. We see a floor price of 1.4. It looks like they were chilling around 0.85 even a few days ago. I feel like the Doodles PFPs aren't doing as much here. Obviously, like the data kind of backs us up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they pumped a little bit. They would, but I think, what's more interesting to me is to try and talk about like, what does this mean for the Doodles ecosystem, right? Because I would guess, and who knows? This is pure speculation, DYOR, what the heck ever else you want to say, NFA, blah blah blah. But I would guess if you've raised $54 million on top of whatever massive war chest they probably already have from having a massively successful collection, that you're probably going to launch some kind of token. I would guess.
Yeah, the token piece is interesting too when you bring in venture capital, right? Like that, obviously, like people.
What? So sorry, real quick. I think you're right, and that is that. Why would a VC put $54 million into your company? Because they want to get that out. How do they get that out?
Yeah, I mean, through if you're talking long term, eventually, like going public and things like this, maybe selling your position OTC. But if you want to do it on the public markets and be a little bit more liquid in a sense, you definitely like want to launch a token, clearly. So yeah, we see go ahead.
You think there's a chance that they go public as like a Web2 like IPO?
I mean, Yuga probably does that. OpenSea probably does that. I think we see more companies going public here that are like probably the largest in the space. I don't know if it's like it's interesting because it's not like Doodles PFP is going to go public. Like, what's the team? Go ahead.
So I think that's what I was curious about and not understanding is that like it's hard for me to imagine an NFT project by itself doing a public IPO. I suppose it's possible, like, maybe they could be the first, or you could see, a company, an NFT project becomes such a well-known brand that it, transitions into like a Web2 company and IPOs around that. To me, I think Doodles would need to more likely do what Bored Apes did, which is become part of a larger conglomerate of some sort, a larger ecosystem of many projects, become a portfolio. And then at that point, like when you're a Yuga Labs or something like that, I see that going public. That makes a lot more sense to me. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, so when it comes to like an overall market cap, right? I think they had Yuga Labs and they had the amount when you I guess get a market cap of all of their assets when you like put together, Bored Apes, when you put together CryptoPunks, all these things together. I think it was like 10 times the size of Doodles essentially. So, I mean, at what point can a company go public? Yuga Labs is probably going to be the first, but I could see them like eventually. Like I think that's where we're going, right? Is this like area where again, like the hardcore motherfuckers are gonna say, you should just launch a token. Why are you doing like the Web 2 route? Why are you selling out? It's like, well, I've always been firmly planted towards the place of mass adoption, and not everybody's going to be looking to acquire a Bored Ape or an ape token. Although that's a good entry point for a lot of people on Coinbase. Most people want to get in, via things that they're using. Buying on Robinhood, for example, a stock of Yuga Labs. Like that's an entry point for somebody that doesn't want to touch the assets. So
yeah, it's much easier for people who don't want to spend time like us degenning and studying this shit all day. How do you get exposure in a simple, relatively safe way? That makes sense.
Great. I mean, like the token for Doodles, though, that's an interesting point. I obviously like there's this line that NFTs and NFT projects like all have where eventually I think you get to the point where you're like, we need to launch. I don't want to use the term need. I feel like I'm getting caught up in this a little bit too, because projects don't need an ERC20 token, but it feels like most bigger projects lean that way.
Well, I mean, there's so much potential to have your own economy and the liquidity that comes with that, and it just seems like one of the natural developments and evolutions in the space for a project that gets to a certain scale that can support that. And so, yeah, I feel like, again, this is all speculation. I feel pretty confident that Doodles will want to launch some kind of token, even if, again, it's like in a partnership or some kind of conglomerate situation. Because why would they partner with ApeCoin? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So we have a Twitter thread here from the Doodles team. This was another thing we were talking about prior. So after this raise, right, they're obviously going on like a hiring spree, which only leads to, again, if they can scale correctly, more of a chance that Doodles is going to be in that category with Yuga Labs. But it says our career page will go live with 18 new full-time positions. Key roles you can expect to see: head of finance, business affairs, marketing, social media manager, project managers. I mean, it's cool to see the space get like this sophisticated, right? Like again, there's a little bit lost, right? It's almost like the we use the Wild West metaphor, where like obviously people from the East Coast start to move out west, and things that once were wild and crazy just become foundational towns and cities and all these things. But that's what it feels like when I read this. I'm like, damn, remember the days when we were just kind of bullshitting essentially, and it was cool to make a lot of money, but it was also cool to be on the forefront of this. Now you see almost like a full kind of thread here that's explaining almost in the same way you would see a Web 2 company explain a lot of these practices.
Yeah, I mean, I think look, Web3 companies, if they're going to survive, most of them need to become Web2 companies to an extent, at least right now. We are not in Web3 yet. We're still in Web 2 point whatever. And like, where do you go? You're very limited right now if you want to actually scale and build a real professional business that can thrive and scale. You have to actually work backwards right now and be a Web 2 company at a certain point, at least most of them. Maybe there's some exceptions. Maybe there's, I'm sure there are some, people are going to fucking be like, well, what about these guys? I'm sure there's some collections and some companies out there that will be fully crypto native. They'll never do anything. But if you're trying to build a brand that actually exists and crosses over, into the mainstream in any sort of way, which is what Doodles is doing, then you have to become a Web 2 company at some point. I'm here for this shit. I'm excited about it. This is the whole point for me about like being at the bleeding edge and like pioneering and being part of this movement, is to be part of it growing and expanding and welcoming in new people and onboarding new people and leading this wave, right? And so that's what Doodles is doing. They are leading the wave. And let's be honest, there's been a lack of professionalism and business proficiency in the Web3 space so far. So to see companies actually becoming legitimate, adding some professionalism, adding, real hires, paying people well, hopefully, to come and do some of the stuff that they're already doing, I'm here for it.
Fantastically put, and that will kind of cap off the Doodles conversation. So essentially, we're talking about, again, a Web3 company adding some Web2 professionalism, while we have the other and opposite way here with the Starbucks announcement that just kind of broke 2 to 3 days ago, which is essentially that Starbucks Odyssey is launching. That's going to revolutionize the way people experience Starbucks rewards. So this is a Web 2 company getting into Web 3. This is not the same as maybe a native Web 3 company like Doodles moving into that realm of being seen as a legitimate professional business. This is one of the largest rewards platforms. To your point that you were making a couple days when we were talking, this is one of the largest rewards platforms in the absolute world, partnering with Polygon to launch rewards based NFTs and assets that will essentially get people involved in the blockchain space. Thoughts?
It's absolutely huge. This is, we speculate and talk a lot about what is mass adoption look like on GM Web3, on NFT Live here and other shows. We talk about what it's going to take to onboard the next 100 million or a billion people into Web3. It's this. It is the biggest consumer brands in the world that already have massive audiences. They've already got millions of app downloads for their loyalty, and rewards apps. And they're going to be integrating NFTs, integrating Web3 tech into their existing user base, into their existing services. And it's going to be seamless. I have no doubt that it's going to be a credit card. It's going to be an easy onboard for all these people. They're not even going to probably really have to know what an NFT is to get, the loyalty card or the pass or whatever that NFT is going to be to participate in Starbucks Odyssey. And then they're going to get to access a bunch of new interesting utilities. I think it's going to just be like them using the app they're already familiar with in a new way. And it's going to seamlessly onboard millions of new people into Web3. That's what I'm expecting. I just think it's an absolutely massive thing. And as a last point, I think Starbucks, through this initiative and this experiment, is going to set the standard for what loyalty rewards as a utility for NFTs looks like.
I just want to give a big clap to whoever put this together. Obviously, it was a large team, of course, that like essentially is making Starbucks' transition into turning their rewards into some type of digital asset, like an NFT. But I mean, you go through the announcement here, and I'll link this in the chat for you guys to take a look. But just a fantastic job, not promising too much, meeting people where they are, just like integrating a little bit of technology. Again, the word NFT rings, I think, hollow with a lot of people just because of where we're at in the market. I think as we get more adoption, we're going to see more people appreciate NFTs.
I would argue that's being generous, because hollow to me says that it's kind of like neutral. I think it's negative for a lot of the mainstream because of how it's been positioned and fudded as bad for the environment, all crypto scams. Like, I actually think that NFT holds negative baggage for a large population.
You're probably right about that. You're honestly probably right. I think that again starts to maybe two things can happen. Either Web3 becomes like that full umbrella term that we start using, and they certainly in this article have said Web3 as many times as they've said NFTs. But I think, dude, this is just a great entry point into, how can I say this? Like, this is probably the biggest that we've seen at the scale that Starbucks is trying to add NFTs into their systems and processes and rewards. Like, this is the largest that we've seen up to this point, and it was just done really, really well. Like, you go throughout the entire article, it's probably a 5-minute read. Go and read it, and it's very obvious that people who know what the fuck they're doing and not trying to cash grab and trying to implement this technology in a good way created this. Like, that's the only thing I'll say. And there is a wait list I'll link as well on this second link that's coming through. But just, I mean, fantastic. I'll open up the actual piece. So here's the wait list. Be the first to experience our new digital community. I also linked in the chat this article that we can go through. But yeah, Gif, I want to get a couple more thoughts here on the way that they kind of rolled this out, what you're expectations are if you're on the wait list. Are
I
you on the
am.
wait list?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and it's not even like I actually prefer Dunkin' to Starbucks these days, but that's not the point. Again, the point is that this is a massive experiment, and it's going to set the standard for what loyalty and rewards look like, with a lot of NFTs, being integrated by these massive global brands. So it's something to pay attention to and try and figure it out. Not to mention that, who knows, maybe there's some really dope rewards that they're going to be offering to early movers. That's always been one of the values of the Web3 space, is that early adopters get the most value and get rewarded. So I'm here for it. I'm on the wait list. Let's see what you got, Starbucks. But I think to your point, props to them, because they must have been working on this for a couple months at least before rolling this out. And Starbucks is known for being innovative. They're usually at the bleeding edge, pushing the limit of what consumer brands are doing in different ways. And this is another example. So yeah.
So I want to go through a couple quick pieces here that relates to like the details. So you get about halfway through the article, basically you get an overview of what Starbucks Odyssey will offer, which is obviously the meat of what we want to be concerned with. So once logged in, members can engage in Starbucks Odyssey journeys, a series of activities such as playing interactive games or taking fun challenges to deepen their knowledge of coffee and Starbucks. Members will be rewarded for completing journeys within the digital collectible journey stamp. Members can also purchase limited edition stamps through a built-in marketplace within the Starbucks Odyssey web app experience. Limited edition stamps be available. There's a bunch of utilities as well that they go on to mention. Like all of these things that are not pushing too hard on their users, not like trying to overhaul their whole entire system. It's just an addition. And there's they go on to say no crypto wallet or cryptocurrency will be required off the bat. Hopefully at some point they will get their users comfortable enough where that is something that can be added. But again, that this whole process was done really, really well. Shout out to whoever put this together. Let me know your thoughts here in the chat, and then GIF, any thoughts on the actual, pieces here that they're, kind of detailing out, which I'm also appreciative of. It wasn't just like, we're going to launch NFTs, get on the wait list. It was like, no, here's specifically how.
I hadn't really dug too much into the fact that they're gamifying it. Honestly makes sense, and also makes more sense for why they chose Poly. So I keep calling Matic Polygon now. That's annoying. But I think it's really interesting that they're just adding more layers of interactivity and engagement and loyalty for their Starbucks customers. It's great branding. It's great equity. They're going to keep more people in their ecosystem and in their app. I mean, where Starbucks can take this, the sky is literally the limit. And I think that they understand that. That's what's really heckin' cool, is that, again, these massive, it's like one of the biggest consumer brands in the world that is, taking this on, that understands the value of building a community doing this now. That's what's so crazy. And I think as a last point is just reiterating that I'm feeling more and more good about my Matic bags that I'm holding, because Polygon is going to be one of the best options for a lot of these brand integrations.
Love it. I appreciate it. Digits is saying already signed up, and I appreciate everybody who is participating here. Marty McFly saying skinny jeans for sure. So I think what's happening there is he's watching it from the very beginning and commenting live. Interesting dynamic there. So hi from the future to Marty McFly here. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in NFT Live here today. We do have a little bit more of an episode here. I've pinged Ronin. I have to make sure that he is okay at this point, because we are 50 minutes into an episode and my man is still stuck in metaverse traffic. So big shout out to Ronin the Collector, who who sacrifices to be on the show. Let's put it there. I get that. And I want to thank him for doing that. Definitely want him on the episode. We're waiting. We're not turning this off till he gets in.
We're gonna go till he gets here, y'all. Even if it's a whole hackathon, 24 hours. The Ronin hackathon. That's what we're gonna do. Holding a vigil, candlelight vigil.
Candlelight vigil. I'm down. This is the most concurrent viewers we've had on the dual platforms setup that we just started. So huge shout out to everybody watching on Twitter as well as YouTube. Okay, just to get you guys all worked up, since you're here, and since we're waiting on Ronin, who isn't here, We got rate my bags.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah. All right. So the way this works, folks, is we do not have a actual kind of litness that says here is like what a S means, here's what an A means. This is essentially on a whim. The entire Rate My Bag segment could flip upside down in a moment. That's exactly how we're treating this Rate My Bag segment. Hopefully, we can get a little bit more rigid on the requirements to actually be on this list. I know we don't have a ton of PFPs as well. When it comes to like looking across the market, this is only a small subset of PFPs. So if we missed your favorite project, I'm sorry.
No,
maybe
let
we
us
should
know
get
in
like
the comments. Let us know. Yeah, negative comments only. Let's go.
Cost effective.
Shit on our bags. That's what we're renaming the segment to. Just take a big old dump on all of our opinions, please. Let us know in the comments how awful we are. That's why we're here. But no, you know what I did notice, right off the bat, Q, is that, NFTGo clearly stated that Azuki's S tier. So I don't know what
That's
Azuki
true.
is doing in the D category. We got to throw Azuki up at S tier because
You're not wrong.
NFTGo said so. No, please don't. Can we delete it? Actually, no. Can we?
It's look. D tier is a punishment in and of itself. So I think leaving it visible makes it, or like, we're not going to forget what you did, Azuki. That's why.
This is like public shaming. Public shaming. Oh my gosh.
Okay. So there's a couple on here that possibly need to be updated. Goblin Town, is Goblin Town something that needs to be moved from? I know Sarah Script was in the Alpha Show this morning talking up Goblin Town and how she liked the way that they went about their launch and things like this. Does it belong in C tier?
As opposed to what tier? I feel like it's fine where it is. But
okay.
Are you thinking about moving it up or moving it down?
Listen, if it gets the Sarah Script approval, that factors into my Rate My Bags. Again, this is a concoction of a recipe that is my ranking system when it comes to Rate My Bags.
Yeah, that Sarah Script cosign is super valuable. She's a top G, as we learned today on G on Web3. Sarah Script is a top G. So, yeah, I mean, if you feel comfortable based on that endorsement to move it up to a B, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Bs are getting packed. I think we need a bigger Rate My Bags,
do we?
Playing area.
Do we need to increase the amount of just bullshit that occurs on this segment? Okay, so I'll move it up. I like this.
Isn't the goal that all of our bags are getting bigger? Isn't that part of the goal? Long term.
I guess. Like, yeah. The pie gets larger, as they say. Mutants. Have you looked into like the Bored Ape ecosystem? You're a holder of an ape, correct?
I am, and I've just been like closing my ears and like la la la, like just not paying attention. I'm just hodling.
Sounds like what Yuga's doing.
Yeah, man. I don't know. We sold our mutant when they peaked, but we still have our ape and our kennel club. And I mean, the thing is, here's how I still feel about it: is that despite whatever noise there is or like the current state of the market, I still think having a Bored Ape or a mutant are like two of the most recognizable, valuable NFTs that people can have in their wallets. And that's, again, like, we talk about how sophisticated our algorithm is here with radar bags, right? It's purely scientific. And so for me, a big part of that science is when I go and look at somebody's public wallet and I'm just seeing the NFTs that are in there, am I impressed? Am I like, oh shit, you got a doodle, you got a like whatever? That's a big part of how I analyze, and play this game is like, when I go to somebody's wallet, how do I feel seeing that NFT in there? And if I see that you got a mutant or a Bored Ape, I'm like, shit, you're fucking legit.
That's very vain of you, GIF, to judge someone by the cover of their wallet. It's very vain.
This whole space is vain as fuck, bro. So you know what?
Okay. Rate my bags here.
We're literally
Doodles.
rating people's bags. That's literally what we're doing here.
Well, no, we're not rating people. We're rating my. Well, yeah, okay, whatever. Anyways, rating thy bags could potentially be the title. Doodles, does it belong in S tier? Because look, again, I'm more like a recency bias guy. Like if a project hasn't done a lot in the last few months or things like this, like the space moves so fast that you need to stay on top of it in that way, in my opinion. I got almost bullied by the chat, the community, yourself, into putting CryptoPunks at S when I felt like the Larva Labs team completely just said, fuck it, we're not doing anything. This was around the NFT NYC time when they didn't do an event at all. And it was like, okay, that feels like something that your community would appreciate.
I think you over-index recency and under-index historical value, though, when you do that, right? And so that's the issue with not putting CryptoPunks, which is the ultimate S tier, at S tier for any reason. I think if we want to talk about like what are the projects that have recently really been stepping up, and I think to your point, separating themselves from the pack, I think you'd have to look at VFriends, Doodles, and CloneX. I think all three of those you could arguably move up to S tier and expand S tier and say, here are the ones that are kind of like seem to be the real blue chips or getting a lot of attention and building something bigger.
Okay, so here's a couple things that I want to hit, guys. And GIF, I appreciate those comments and we'll do some maneuvering here just in a second. We do have a comment in chat from Cost Effective saying 10 KTF is S tier. What's up with World of Women in parallel? I honestly don't know. I would move them down. So a lot of good comments there, guys. Fill in that chat. That's part of the Rate My Bag segment that we want to get to. I'm comfortable moving Doodles up to S. I'm also, what was the other one that you said? VFriends. I feel like
Doodles, VFriends, CloneX. Doodles, VFriends, CloneX. All three stand out to me as like they're doing bigger things and keeping attention. And yeah.
Okay, I will move Doodles up. I agree with that. I will put this on chat because I'm firmly in the middle on VFriends. I wish the NFTs looked better. You know, I know that they're maybe not like following the, traditional, like, I don't know, whatever the model is for a PFP project, but the merch was bad.
That's not a very scientific analysis here, Q.
Listen,
I hate to break it to you, man.
Again,
I don't know.
Rate thy bags. Like, I just go to people's wallets and I make rash judgments on who they are as a person, which is what I'm doing right now. But VFriends, I'm comfortable with moving up to S if we can get a majority here that thinks so. So drop it in chat. VFriends, the fate of Gary V's project lies on thy shoulders. Does VFriends go to S tier? That's the question. That's on now. You're saying CloneX?
I mean, that's a big project. They got big war chest. They're still getting a lot of attention, a lot of volume, and I think they have the potential to be a blue chip, and if they aren't already, I think by many standards you'd already call them a blue chip.
Moonbird today. What are your thoughts?
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think reading. So one of the things that I did garner from reading the NFTGo report is that they raised like 500 mil in like just a couple like when they launched. That's insanity. And also like people still like they've been launched for a couple months now maybe, and I still see a lot of people rocking them as PFPs. I see people creating content, derivatives, all this type of stuff. I think Moonbirds has a strong community, has a massive war chest, has a ton of money, legit founders. I think Moonbirds at an A is legit.
From a notoriety standpoint, again, we're talking how like we're so vain that, I see a Moonbird in somebody's wallet. I think that you're kind of legit in the space. I'm sorry. So that's what we're going with. Cost Effective saying, what's up with World of Women in parallel? I honestly don't know. I would move them down. I kind of agree with this. I feel like we haven't looked at Rate My Bags in a while using the recency bias again. I do think Parallel and World of Women are not on the same tier of like a...
World of Women just launched their capacitors in a partnership with On Cyber.
So stays at A?
I don't know. I'm looking at it right now. I'm just going to look at how it's doing. I think so. Here's the thing. I think there's an argument to drop it down to B, but I think I would lean towards keeping it an A still, unless we check back here in like another month or two, and they're just like not doing anything. But I don't know. I could see it either way, A or B.
Yeah.
I think World of Women has a lot of historical value and a brand that is actually super valuable. They're partnered with Yuga Labs as well. They've got big people behind them. They are doing big partnerships. They are still doing cool things. Like, again, they just airdropped all these capacitors with this on cyber thing. So I'm leaning towards keeping them in A, unless they totally drop the ball and
Yeah.
a
Okay.
little bit. But
Listen, I'm not going to be an owner of a lot of these projects. I wouldn't say a lot of all of the projects. World of Women's one that I do not, own. So I will.
There's a lot of brand equity and a really strong community. So there's that.
Okay. Marty McFly saying he's watching at 2x from behind, so he's quickly gaining on us here. I think we're going to have to just say Ronin broke down in metaverse traffic. Somebody needs to call like the metaverse AAA, I'm guessing, just to help my mans out. I don't want to get completely obliterated. Do not, Jacob, whatever you do not cut this and throw this on a YouTube short. I could see Gutter Cat Gang at B tier. I see what they're trying to do. It's just not hitting. It's just not hitting in the same way that we have A tiers hitting. So I'm going to go ahead and potentially throw it in the ring. Gutter Cat to B tier. Gang. I'm sorry. That's what I'm going with.
I'm kind of on board. I'm not totally opposed to it. Gutter Cats are going to tear us a new asshole probably. But you know what? They did just do their, what is it, Serum V2s, but honestly, it doesn't seem like it was rolled out in a way that really resonated with the community. And I don't know. I guess GutterCon's coming up.
Why more NFTs? Why do we just continue to drop NFTs? Like I just don't see the reason to increase the amount of NFTs in your collect. Like the people already complain about the floor price. Like, you think increasing the supply of NFTs is going to do anything for that? So again, staying away from gang. Those guys can be a little I'm scared. Is essentially what I'm getting at. I consistently feel like CyberKongs is talked about in our community when it comes to like chat, and Hash Rhymes is a big proponent of them as well. I think they have a lot that's going on in the ecosystem. They seem to have I would say like a large amount of people who are movers and shakers in the space. Should I say that? Like the team behind it, although it's not like already out there, it feels like CyberKongs just kind of comes up as like providing value to their community. So, all right, I'm going with the Gutter Cat at B unless I get any notifications from the chat.
Cost Effective says I would keep the A before World of Women. LOL. So I don't know.
Gutter Cat? You're talking Gutter Cats?
I think they're talking about Gutter Cats. We don't, one of the things I've noticed is that we don't have Psychedelics Anonymous on here. And I feel like they deserve to be.
Well, in order for them to be on this list, you're going to need to tell me a tier. Psychedelics Anonymous.
I would put them at A or B. Maybe start them at B. Easily at B, if not at A. I'm new to that crew, so I'm still kind of learning about the community, but everything that I've heard and been learning is pretty bullish about it, and they're definitely doing some interesting community engagement and like value things for the community.
Okay. All right, folks. We are wrapping this up relatively shortly. We've been going for like almost an hour and 15. I like our S tier. I feel like our A tier is starting to gain a little bit more structure to it. It does feel a little bit better when I look at this. Like
Nick is making a good point that the Gutter Cat Gang serum is meant to be deflationary. So to your point about just releasing new NFTs, I think the point is to actually reduce the supply with this new drop.
Does that keep them at A? I don't.
Will it work? Yeah. Will it work? I don't know. Yeah. I kind of still agree that yeah, it feels like they feel like they overextended their supply, and that's why they have to do that.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So it's
Okay.
like that might still be an argument for a B, but I don't know. B plus, maybe.
All
Is
right.
there a B plus?
I don't think we have a B plus category, although I could be talked into it. Look, we are about to be done here, guys. I have one last question, maybe a couple, but VFriends needs to be put either in A or S tier. I'm okay with moving Artifact as well up to A tier. Again, I just feel like they have an outsized influence on what's happening in the space right now. I see them talked about a bunch. Maybe it's my echo chamber, maybe it's not, but I could see 10KTF being moved to A. And I don't.
Yeah, I think 10KTF has been somehow like done just absolutely insanely well. I mean, again, I think they're partnered with like Yuga and shit, right? Like, but like either way, I could see 10KTF being bumped up to A, and then yeah.
I think that's it. All right, we need one last talk here. VFriends, A or S tier? Do they belong amongst the greatest projects in the space right now, or do they belong in the above average too? I mean, it's just like A tier.
I mean, if VFriends, like, okay, first of all, look at what else is in A tier. CyberKongs was literally like a tiny little sideshow element to VCon. Do you see what I'm saying? Like how do you compare Gutter Cats to VFriends at this point?
Well, you're talking about provenance. That's one thing that the Gutter Cat gang has when it comes to like their creation, and I think they were created like weeks after Bored Ape. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like they were one of the first PFP projects that launched. I'm almost positive. They have that reputation in the space, at least going back that far. So Hashram's saying A. A for VFriends.
There you go.
We have
the chat has spoken.
10KTF is Beeple and Gaio Siri. So yeah, I think I'm comfortable keeping it at A. All right, we have not Ronin here in the chat. So we have an individual here who I think do we get Ashram's saying A. Oh.
Hey! Hey, what's going on? I figured I can be Ronin for the day.
We have
the chat has spoken.
I think we're getting audio through your video here, not Ronin.
Yeah, not Ronin.
Chat. We have an individual here who I think did.
Let's just play back the episode that way. Actually,
we should. Space Smells Like is telling us to immediately cancel. I still got you, Savage. I'm gonna pull you back up. I just need to make sure the audio is not coming through. Masked Mage. Okay, so we're good. All right, not Ronin is here. Dun, 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 dun.
Hey, definitely had NFT Live open on 2 screens. Oopsie.
I appreciate you adding to the viewer count here. Savage, how you doing today, man?
Oh, we're good. Working on the car. I don't think I successfully fixed it, but it started. It didn't blow up, so let's go.
Are we talking about Ronin right now, or are we on your life?
Oh, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Ronin's life. He's stuck in metaverse traffic, so maybe his car's got some issues too. Probably blew up on him. Rip. What do you do?
Good to see you joining us here today, man.
Yeah, you guys had a fun episode. It's always fun to hang out with the boys.
Heck yeah, bro. Yeah, man. Are we still gonna rate the bags, or like what else? Are we?
I think Savage. I want to get your take here. If you have any like hot takes before we end the episode, I appreciate you jumping in here saying hi. Deck is saying Gutter Cats is OG. Space Smells Like saying, are we expecting to go until Ronin shows up? So I think we're getting told the episode is just far too long. And Mass Mage is saying, the real question is, what will the next S tier NFT? As the tech evolves, it should provide use cases. Marty McFly saying, GCG don't look like crap. VFriends do. That's the main difference. Whew. Savage, what are your thoughts?
I was just coming on to say hello to the fam. I wasn't jumping into this this mess here.
You don't want to jump into the fire?
No, I don't want the Gutter Cat gang coming after me. They can stay right where they're at. I don't want any fire. I don't want none of that heat.
It's an interesting point, though, about VFriend's art, right? Because, yes, objectively, Gary V's scribblings are not high-quality illustrations or high-quality art, but they're primarily utility token right now. But then the other interesting thing to think about is that if you've been following along with what VFriends has done with VFriends 2, evolving the art, what they were doing at VCon, showing off all the different iterations of the way that these characters are being brought to life in really high quality ways, then what you actually have when you have one of those scribblings of VFriends 1 is like Walt Disney's original hand drawing of what could become Mickey Mouse. So like, I get it if you're like, oh, it's ugly, but then I think you're missing the big picture altogether of what that actually is.
So Gifted is trying to get an invite to VCon 2 here, as you guys can see. Pumping VFriends. Okay. Do you own VFriends?
I have a VFriends 2. I did not get in on VFriends 1, but I came around and started saying, why the heck am I not, like, why am I hating on Gary V? The guy has shown time and time and time again he's a winner. Gary V is a top G, and he's been a top G. I think he's going to keep being a top G. So it's just like, why are you going to bet against this guy? I think you're insane. That's it.
Love the take, man. All right. Savage, appreciate you joining us today for the episode to be not Ronin for us, man.
Hey, gotta do what you gotta do. The fam needed us here because it's a 3-person round table, right? We need a round table.
That's fair. That's fair.
We were struggling. Q and I were struggling. So seriously, thank you. Like we needed some help.
I not as much as Ronin probably needs help. If someone can find him and direct him to NFT Live, please.
Call Triple M.
Sure that
the Gutter Cat gang got him.
Oof.
Oh,
we needed a sacrifice.
Yo, did he get murked by Gang? Did they know that he was on the way to the show and they caught him out? They caught him slipping.
Got him in the gutter.
All right. Well, again, guys, this was Rate My Bags. This was NFT Live. You guys showing up, getting after it per usual. So just to kind of freeze it for now until we go back to Rate My Bags in what probably will be a couple months. S tier for us. I didn't really get any backup, GIF. I'm sorry. VFriends.
I get it. I know Marty McFly's like saying he doesn't simp. So like, yo, all right, bro. I guess I'm just over here simping for Gary V. Like he needs it. They're like, I need it.
Let's see. Okay. Look, I will put VFriends at S tier just because it doesn't feel that out of place on that list. I'm okay. I like the amount of things that they have done with community activations, the raise that they just had, Gary V's kind of reputation. It doesn't feel like that out of place on an S tier list. So
VFriends,
and I need more.
VFriends should be S tier just based upon VCon alone. Like for anybody that didn't go, like that is literally the S tier NFT conference. It's the best thing that's been thrown for any NFT community in the world so far. So it's just like, that's my opinion. Again, like I get it. People don't have to fuck with the art. They don't have to agree. But like, bro, I think just on VCon alone, VFriends deserves to be S tier.
Again, Rate My Bags is probably the most controversial topic we ever have on NFT Live by far. So thank you guys for your input. This is a community collaboration that's often tough because everybody has subjective feelings here. But here is the Rate My Bags final. Before we lock out here, before we get out of here on NFT Live for this Wednesday edition, we have Bored Ape, CryptoPunks, Doodles, and VFriends sitting at S tier. There was a couple pieces of movement here. We had 10KTF move from B. We had Moonbirds move from B. We were talking about Gutter Cat Gang potentially being in B. And then we had Psychedelics Anonymous add and Azuki just rounding out on the D list. We appreciate them for showing us what not to do in the space. So thank you, Azuki. And that's Rate My Bags, folks.
Yo, is that Lander in the audience? What's up, buddy? Nice seeing you, fam.
Lander, Crypto Lander, our vibe, our tribe. I appreciate you showing up, man.
Swervis over here saying V Friends deserves to be a B tier. Like, all right, bro, get out of town.
Sheesh. All right, before this gets any more controversial, we are going to stop at an hour and 20 minutes here on NFT Live. Somebody find Ronin. Somebody find a new Rate My Bags recipe for us to kind of throw up on the screen. Gif, you doing anything today, tonight? Savage, what are you doing?
So I'll say real quick, Friends Fest is happening in LA Thursday and Friday. Chris Cafaro's doing a big exhibition. There's a lot happening in LA. Nomad Boulevard, their gallery in Hollywood opening Friday. So I'm very excited. My friend Brooke J. Lacey is coming out here to stay. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm going to be doing all kinds of dope stuff here. If you're in LA, definitely reach out. I'm going to be going to Hollywood Friday to go shoot some more man on the street, asking people weird questions. The Crypto Dick Butts video that we did got a warm reception. Crypto Dick Butts actually reached out, so they loved it. I don't know. Publishing more dope content on GM Web3 on the Web3 channels. And that's it, man. Having a good time.
Savage, what are you getting into?
Just playing around with permissions. We had Women of Tomorrow doing some minting today, so I was kind of watching that server, making sure they did all right. Other than that, I'm just playing with the car, making sure it doesn't blow up. Still might happen, so we'll see. I work on computers, not cars, so trying it out though. But
I already got this.
NFT Live.
Amazing stuff. Yo, I want to highlight one more question I want to ask to the chat before Gifted and DJ Savage get up out of here, as well as myself. I got things to do, places to be, Germany to head to and get the beer steins and shit like that. What question should Gifted be asking on the streets of, did you say Hollywood?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I go down to Hollywood and just like set up with a tripod and try and talk to normies about weird NFT shit. So like I was asking people what a crypto dick butt is, and that was hilarious. So yeah, I actually love this. If you've got any awesome questions that I should be asking normies on the streets of Hollywood, please let me know, because I'll be going this Friday. And also, while people do that, Q, you got to stand up. Show them one more time. Show us what you got. Show us what you got cooking, bro.
I don't know. What dance do they do in Germany here? Nice. Definitely not what I just did. That was like Mamba levels.
Are those keeping your Wiener Schnitzel nice and warm there?
Yes. Yeah, or should I say yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Sehr gut, I think. Sehr gut. Very good. All right.
Bro.
We are, guys, I'm waiting for one last question. Nick Swervis and Marty McFly are apparently getting drinks to talk about Gutter Cat Gang being in A tier and V Friends being in A tier as well.
Cheers.
So, all right. The one thing I will say is, GIF, if you could ask on the streets of Hollywood whether V Friends should be in S tier, I feel like that's a fair question. People are going to know. And want to have the answer.
Just come right out of the gate, because everybody out there is going to know what Rate My Bags and what V Friends are. So that's a perfect question. Thank you.
Savage, do you have any question that Gifted could ask on the streets related to NFTs or Web3?
What dumps harder, Bitcoin or the US dollar?
Ooh,
nice.
Next year, 2023.
Okay. Well, we saw the inflation numbers. That's a fair question these days, which is bonkers to say out loud.
That's an interesting question. Yeah, I think there might be something to that.
All right, we are literally like dragging on to this episode of ending here, but I do want to get one last question. If you guys have any for Gifted before we head out of here, Gift, do you have like one that's lined up already? Are you doing your research?
I'm always doing a research. A couple of good ones are like, what is WAGME? What does WAGME mean to you? Obviously, some people need to like kind of have some kind of NFT info for that one. Another fun one for women is to ask them, would you prefer that a guy proposes to you with a diamond ring or an expensive NFT? That's a fun one. So those are a few that I'm playing with, you know.
Is any woman answering expensive NFT?
Not yet.
That's an interesting
one.
But
to be fair, I've only asked one that so far. So I'm going to do more research. I'm going to go DYMR.
That's the life right there.
Yeah, DMOR. do my own research. Yeah.
Marty McFly's in his bag today, GIF. It's just
I know, bro. I clearly pinched some nerves here talking about why I think VeeFriends is legit. So
right.
You know what?
Get out.
That's the point. You know what? This is why we do it. This is why we do it. Rate my bags. It's so bold, so brave, yet so controversial.
It's times like these, although we do have someone with the soundboard here. Savage rocks an amazing soundboard on Friday episodes of NFT Live, but emotional damage soundboard is what we're going for right now. Yeah. All right. We are getting up out of here. Auf Wiedersehen, as they say in Germany, and I will see you guys when I return. Thank you so much for tuning in to NFT Live. Like, comment, sub, do all that good stuff. We will see you on Friday's episode of NFT Live. Savage is going to be hosting that bad boy, and we will get up out of here. Later, y'all.
Our